Well, here we are in the waning days of October 2020, and we have ourselves a brand new live TV streaming service to talk about. Yes, if you haven't heard or read on our site by now, T-Mobile is launching a new service it's calling TVision, and it aims to disrupt not just cable plans, but also the current live TV streaming services out there that have, over time, inflated in size and in price. So what does this new service offer? What platforms does it support? And when can you get it? Well, we're going to go over all of those and more in this week's Topical Deep Dive. This is 5 things you should know about T-Mobile's TVision. Number 1. What is T-Mobile's TVision? Well, yeah, that's a good enough place to start, so let's do that. TVision, it's T-Mobile's brand new live TV streaming service meant to compete with traditional cable providers as well as established streaming options like YouTube TV, Sling TV, Fubo TV, and more. As for what it is not the same thing as the TVision home service the company offered last year after its acquisition of Layer 3. Whereas that version was limited to a handful of markets around the country, this new TVision has nationwide aspirations that we'll get into shortly. Oh, and in addition to the new services, T-Mobile is also introducing its own dedicated streaming player, something it's calling TVision Hub. And we actually reported on this one a while back when it was passing through the FCC, and here in October we finally know how that device fits into the company's plans. And again, we'll get into that shortly as well. Number 2. What do the plans and pricing look like? So a big selling point that T-Mobile is leading heavily on is its value proposition. In a nutshell, T-Mobile's pitch is that traditional cable packages are too bloated or too expensive. They cost too much, pile on too many channels you don't actually want, or some combination of both. And while live TV streaming services have certainly disrupted that pattern, T-Mobile says some of those bigger players in the streaming space are also guilty of getting bloated and more expensive over time. And yes, if you've followed our news website, cordcuttersnews.com, for a long enough time, you've likely come across stories of price hikes, carriage disputes, and channel lineup shakeups over the past few months and years. And so here comes TVision with its low-cost approach, and here's what the company is offering at launch. The company is splitting its offerings into a few different services. So there's TVision Live that includes live sports and news. That plan starts at $40 per month and can climb to $60 per month for the Live Zone tier, which includes around 70 or so channels, including sports options like NFL Red Zone. If you'd rather skip that and just add a few entertainment channels to your lineup, there's TVision Vibe that goes for $10 per month. That one adds channels like Animal Planet, BBC America, BET, Comedy Central, Hallmark, and more. That one might be a decent fit if you, say, have a solid selection of over-the-air options available and you're looking to supplement that with a few more channels. And then there are TVision channels, which are essentially premium options you can also tack onto your Live or Vibe packages. Those start at $5.99 per month and include channels like Stars, Showtime, and Epix. Beyond all that, if you're on the TVision Live or Channels plans, you can view a maximum of 3 concurrent streams. Vibe users, that's the $10 a month plan, are limited to 2 concurrent streams. And all 3 service types include a 100-hour Cloud DVR as well. Number 3. Okay, so what about device support? Right, so if pricing and plans are the most important details when a new service launches, then device and platform support is probably not far behind on that list. And for TVision, that support is fairly solid, with one exception. See if you can spot it. So here's the list of platforms that'll support the TVision app at launch. You can see the mobile side is well taken care of with both Android and iOS support. Meanwhile, the at-home streamers can gain access to the new service via heavy hitters like Fire TV, Android TV, Google TV, which yes is a different thing for the time being at least, and Apple TV. But yeah, can you spot what's missing there? Yep, there's no Roku support at launch. And we spoke with T-Mobile's Dwayne Benefield after the company's initial announcement earlier this week, and he said the company will continue to evaluate future platform support, including Roku and maybe even next-gen game consoles like the Xbox Series S and X and Sony's PlayStation 5. For now, though, Roku-only households are out of luck. And the company also lists a few other popular platforms that won't be supported when the service launches starting on November 1st. And that list includes Samsung and LG brand smart TVs, as well as current and previous generation game consoles from Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. And you won't be able to access TVision directly via a web browser either, at least at launch. However, T-Mobile is also releasing its own $50 dedicated streaming device. We mentioned it earlier, and it's called the TVision Hub. It's an Android TV-based streaming dongle that should run the TVision app just fine. And since it's powered by Android TV, you get access to the Google Play Store, including tons of other apps as well. In fact, you technically don't even need a TVision account if all you want is an affordable streaming device, though I'm sure T-Mobile would prefer if you subscribe. But it's worth pointing out that even with the T-Mobile branding on the side, this is still a fairly affordable streaming box at $50. Number 4. How is it different? So at launch, T-Mobile's big selling points here are price and choice. It's promising plans that are, quote, half the price of cable TV. And there are also no annual service contracts to speak of either. But it's also promising protection from plan bloat, or as it describes on the T-Mobile site, no exploding plans. So it's essentially offering low-cost services in configurations it believes are more attractive to consumers, all while promising no commitment or price hikes down the road. And of course, we'll be keeping a close eye on TVision's pricing and plans moving forward. After all, it's one thing to say you have better prices and choice at launch, but it's another thing entirely to keep that promise over the long term. This is, after all, a complex and competitive landscape, and it'll be interesting to see how successful T-Mobile is at sticking with its price advantage messaging. Time will tell, and we'll be listening closely. Number 5. So what about the launch? Glad you asked. So T-Mobile is taking a staggered approach with this new service. Starting on November 1st, TVision will be made available first to existing T-Mobile postpaid customers with up to 12 wireless voice lines, and you can consider that stage 1. If you happen to fall within that category, well, there you go. You should be able to sign up soon. Next up are the legacy Sprint customers, i.e. the folks that were moved to T-Mobile following the closing of the big Sprint merger. Those folks will get access at some point later in November. And then, if all goes well during those phases, the company expects a full nationwide rollout to everyone, including those who aren't currently customers of T-Mobile, in the future. When exactly? Well, we're not quite sure, but T-Mobile has a handy sign-up page if you want to be notified when those stages commence. But yes, for current T-Mobile customers, you could potentially sign up in just a few days' time. Stay tuned. And so there you go. Those are 5 things you should know about this brand new streaming option from T-Mobile. If you've taken a look at the available channels and prices, feel free to comment down below with your initial thoughts so far. Is T-Mobile on to something here by offering lower cost streaming packages? Or will they eventually suffer the exact same fate as some of their competitors and yield to eventual price hikes? Well, we'll just have to wait and see, but in any case, we have another streaming option to consider, and we'll continue to bring you all the latest developments as the service launches and evolves over time. For now, though, thanks as always for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, please do consider clicking those like and subscribe buttons down below. We have weekly Q&A sessions on Wednesdays and then topical deep dives on Thursdays, including lots and lots of hardware reviews lately. And then on Friday, we wrap up the latest cord cutting and streaming news with Cord Cutting Weekly. Until next time, my name's still Philip Palermo. Thanks again for tuning in. Take care.